in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogdon.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogdon. Systems are so important to our businesses. And a lot of people, when they're starting out in business, they're just trying to get their first sale. They're trying to get clients and just get things going. And they don't give a lot of thought to setting up the systems that are really going to contribute to their success in the long term. But for those of us who have run our businesses for a while, we realize that in order to not just survive, but to thrive and to be profitable and really make the impact that we want to make, we have to have systems. We have to leverage our time, our money, and our energy with great systems and automation. Today's expert is someone who can help us dial this in and get those systems in place that we need to be successful. I have Greg Hickman with us today. He is the founder and CEO of Systematically. Over the last 4 years, Greg and his team have transformed Systematically from an automation consultancy serving many well-known entrepreneurs and growth experts into one of the top coaching and training companies for service providers looking to grow and scale by leveraging automation to convert more leads into clients. Greg's superpower is simplifying the complex and helping utilize cutting-edge systems and automation to build a client journey that systematically delivers amazing client results so that the business can grow quicker with less energy, costs, and headache. Greg, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I think that your expertise is definitely needed in our businesses where many of us are trying to do too many things at once. We don't have help. We're not leveraging our time the way we should. You have worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs ranging from Jay Baer, Lee Dumas, Dan Martell, Betty Rocker, Nerd Fitness, Chris Ducker, and many more businesses not as well known, but you're still working behind the scenes, helping them to be successful and profitable by creating these systems. I think it's awesome. How did you get started doing this? What got you interested in automation and systems consultancy?
Yeah, so, it kind of started when I had an agency in a completely different, different industry that wasn't going very well, but that industry did bring me into using, at the time, Infusionsoft, which was helping me kind of streamline my new client onboarding process. And when that company, which was at the time like a mobile marketing consultancy, kind of hit the wall, I looked at, what do I enjoy doing and what do I find fascinating? And I had really just kind of gotten into marketing automation. And so I knew a lot of people that I wanted to work with, like the Pat Flynn's and the Lee Dumas's, the online entrepreneurs that like I was learning from. I knew a lot of them use these tools. And so I basically said, all right, well, maybe I can help them with Infusionsoft, or if anyone that is using Infusionsoft like them. And so I went out and I looked for people that were struggling with Infusionsoft and felt like it was something that they didn't want to deal with. And I basically just kind of enlisted myself as the person who was going to be behind the scenes on their team, helping them figure it out. And very quickly, I was able to, get a bunch of clients, and it kind of put me behind the scenes, really building, it started as sales and marketing funnels, which, is really cool, helping people make money. But very quickly, we found ways to be using automation all across the business, helping certain team members be more efficient, as well as, the whole fulfillment side of the business and collection side of the business, and having essentially been on these people's teams, I got to see how they operate. And that introduced me to like, okay, like there's more to automation than this. So there's structure, there's business models, there's people, there's process. And once I was kind of behind the scenes, like it opened my eyes to a whole new world. And I just became fascinated with how people structure and run their businesses. And they all were using different systems and processes. And I just fell in love with it.
It takes a very special kind of person to really detangle and simplify all of those things in the background. So that is really incredible. By the numbers on your website, your company has deployed over 750 webinar funnels. On average, you're adding $15,000 to $35,000 in monthly revenue per client, and you are saving them 15 to 20 hours a week in their operations. Who is your ideal prospect? Who is your ideal client, and how are you achieving these results?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work primarily with, I'll say, agencies and service providers. These are people that, have interactions with our clients, not just selling information, but really selling some sort of transformation, whether that's done for you or consulting. And it's kind of the classic case of, most of them are agencies or some sort of like marketing professional. And it's like the cobbler's kids have no shoes. Like they can't grow because they're too busy in their client's business. And so they when they get a new client, sales and marketing stop because they're in fulfillment. And then when they're done with that project, it's like back to hunting manually. And so we really started helping those folks, because we were those folks, figure out how to, okay, when I get a new client, how does my sales and marketing engine continue so that I have new prospects in my pipeline? But then how do I increase my client capacity by 2 or 3x just because I'm onboarding my clients more effectively? And so I've, as a service provider myself, like if you work with clients, whether it's one-on-one or in a group, and you have that interaction, I think you can be benefiting from all sorts of systems.
You've really touched upon something that I think every business struggles with in the beginning, and it is that feast and famine cycle, that vicious cycle of I work really hard, manual labor to go out and get clients and get leads. Then I get some business, and now I'm in fulfillment, and I'm trying to service that customer. All of my marketing stops. And then, you look up 30 days, 60 days, 90 days later, or whatever the time frame is, you're done with that client, check it off. And now you have no business. So it's a matter of trying to create the systems and the automation in place. So really your marketing never quite stops, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's the lifeblood, right? I mean, if you're not attracting and talking to your ideal prospects, and using your marketing to bring them into the system, into your world, you're always going to be chasing and manually hunting for prospects.
What would you say is the greatest challenge with the clients that you see when they come to you and they're in this feast and famine mode? What's the biggest challenge you have to overcome with them to get them out of that vicious cycle and really help them leverage what they're doing with your systems and automations in the back end?
Oh, great question. So it's kind of a combination of two things, really, that I think are very intertwined. So hopefully this isn't cheating. But really it's they come to us because they want these systems, and a key piece of having these systems work successfully. And when I'm saying systems, I'm meaning think of it as the lead to client journey experience, like being fully automated and predictable. It comes down to these two things. One, the client has simplified the avatar that they work with, and that they have narrowed down the deliverable in which they are actually selling. So it has actually nothing to do with systems, but more about who they're serving and what result are they selling those people. Because the system needs to tell a story, right? It has to have a conversation with a prospect and move them to, the sales conversation. And when you do everything for everybody, it's a really boring story, and it's really hard to make that a predictable engine, So a lot of times it's just, hey, who are we speaking to, and what is this engine going to primarily sell? Because it can't sell the 30 things that you do, and you probably shouldn't be doing 30 things anyway. That's usually the starting point, unfortunately, for a lot of conversations that will be a catalyst in making these systems successful.
That is so insightful, because I think a big stumbling block with a lot of businesses just starting out, and what we're talking about is scaling. How do you go from startup mode to scaling? And I think a lot of that transition is made easier if we will get some of these systems in place from the beginning and go through and ask these questions of ourselves. Who are we trying to reach, and what are we trying to reach them with? And I love how you describe that as the lead to client journey experience. It is, it's a lot like, I guess, the UX in design, in graphic design, web design. UX is the user experience. You're creating a lead to client journey experience and leveraging that experience with great systems that run automatically in the background.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and when we say automation too, I want to be clear that, I think this is especially, I hear this a lot when I talk to authors and speakers, because a lot of cases, they do have a personal connection with a lot of their people, and automation doesn't mean robotic. In fact, automation doesn't always have to mean fully using technology. As long as you, the owner, aren't doing it, in my opinion, it's automated. So there's certain sophistication levels of automation, and sometimes it really comes through delegation as well. And the combination of those things actually allows this quote unquote automated system to still be humanized, right? I think that's where a lot of people are hesitant to jump into all this technology and fully put their business on autopilot, quote unquote. That it's going to sound transactional, if that makes sense. But it can actually make the human experience more efficient.
That really, that's a really important point, I think, for people to realize that the automation that you're talking about is not robotic, and it's not replacing you. Especially if you're an author, a speaker, a coach, a consultant, you work long and hard to build these personal and professional relationships. We're not suggesting that you can automate yourself out of that personal touch, but what you are suggesting is that we can do a better job at touching more people by leveraging these tools in a way that doesn't take the human element out of it, but actually makes it possible for us to go deeper with more people.
Absolutely.
What can someone begin to do, or what should we begin thinking about as we are transitioning from startup mode? And maybe there are some signs that pop up that tell us, the way you're doing business is killing you. Your success is going to kill you. If you don't change the way you're doing business, you'll be out of business soon. What might some of those warning signs be, and how do we learn to recognize when it's time to get in touch with you and consult with you to solve that problem?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple. If everything you do is manual, especially within your sales and marketing process, there's a lot of time that you're wasting and losing that you can get back and use towards things that you prefer to be doing, like working on your business or spending more time with your family. So if you find that a lot of the things are manual and tedious and repetitive, there's probably opportunities to leverage some sort of technology to streamline it. So that goes into hey, I look at it, if you do things more than 3 times, the same thing more than 3 times, like there's probably a sign that there is a system that can be put together for it. And so I honestly, I look at all the manual stuff. So like, hey, how do you sell right now? How do you get leads right now? What do you have a predictable way of taking a stranger and making them a client? If no, like those are typically places where we would start, and, kind of brings me to a big picture point of, systems aren't created, they're just captured. Right. And so like the best automation starts manually. Right. And so like, how do you sell right now? Let's automate that. Like, I don't want to go create some new way of selling for you if you've never done it before. Right. Now, in some cases, there's ways to like accelerate how you sell that might be new to you, but it's not like we're drawing up on a whiteboard some crazy cool thing and then putting it into practice. Like, it needs to align with how you currently do business. So, we really look at where in your business are you doing things over and over and over again manually, and where can we streamline you there first to give you some time back, and then we kind of in a sequence keep adding on to it, right? And keep making things more automated without, eliminating the human touch. So it's kind of looking for those bottlenecks, so to speak.
I love that. And that sounds like such a such a time saver, and really eliminating a lot of stress that we take on because we're trying to juggle too many things in the air. And being able to do this is absolutely critical to scaling. Can you give us an example of where this would work in one of your clients, for example, where they can really see the impact of this in a measurable way, just by testing it and learning how to implement these ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of our clients, Ryan, he had a great opportunity to speak in front of a room full of his ideal clients. So, if you're a speaker out there, if you're using stages to communicate with your ideal prospects, it's a great opportunity to capture leads and drive conversations. But when you're in a room full of 1,500 people and there's a good amount of them that are going to be interested in what you do, you obviously aren't physically capable of having a conversation with all of those people that are probably going to be interested.
Yeah, you do the old
yeah.
fishbowl approach. Okay, put your business card up here in the fishbowl, and maybe a year from now, if I get around to it, I'll follow up with you. That's not going to cut it, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's essentially the digital version of the fishbowl. So what we helped him deploy is he had something that kind of complemented his presentation, and he was able to, from the stage, allow the audience to either text in or send them to a URL where they opted in to receive this gift that would complement the session he just gave. And by doing so, I believe he had like somewhere around like close to 53% of the room opt in, and which I'd say is actually fairly average. Sometimes you can get a lot more than that. So he captured all those people, and now they get this gift, and they go into a sequence of emails that are encouraging them to have a conversation to see how the stuff he talked about on stage can apply to their business and drive free consultations, right? He couldn't physically do that manually. And it would take a long, if he grabbed all of those people's business cards and even paid an executive assistant, like that would be a waste of money because he could be using automation, right?
Yeah.
And he just came back with how many people opted in. So I actually don't know how many people have scheduled calls yet. But I'm guaranteeing that there's going to be probably somewhere between like 5 and 10% that are scheduling calls. And then if they don't schedule the calls, well, they can go into the next sequence, which actually introduce them to an online program that can be sold, right? And so, like, all right, well, they didn't take the first real call to action, which is getting on the phone for a consultation. Let me offer this thing that is not requiring me to get on the phone to sell, and now takes them through another experience. And he doesn't need to press any buttons to make any of that happen. It just is going to happen whether they choose to get on the phone or not. right? And so he gets to go from event to event, and be able to do that over and over again, and not feel like he's letting opportunities fall through the cracks, and B, not letting the leads that he's captured fall through the cracks because the system is capturing them, right? So any sort of speaker that is out there, or an author, if you put sort of calls to action in your book, you could be putting them into your digital fishbowl, that the fishbowl is actually going to go and start those conversations for you. All of your listeners probably have realized by now that conversions happen in conversations. And so all of the emails and the videos and the stuff that we send people in our automation really need to be designed to start a conversation. And that's then where a human should come in and start participating in the conversation, whether that's in a messenger conversation or a response to an email or possibly even a phone call. Your automation should get hand raisers that are interested in the conversation so that a human can have it. And so he's doing that really, really well. One other example is one of our clients, Bonnie. She actually does automation systems for law firms. And there's a lot of law firms that come to her that aren't qualified. And so she set up kind of like a consultation request form that basically allows her to receive these requests, and they get to score those leads. Should I get on the phone with this person or should I not? And if they should get on the phone with them because they meet the qualifications of a 5-star prospect, then they'll get on her sales calendar. Otherwise, there's automation that will kind of say, hey, we've reviewed your application. It's not a good fit. Here are some free resources you should go check out. And so she would be spending, this is where a lot of the time savings come in. Service providers, maybe some listening might be familiar with this, is you have a couple prospects come to you, and deep down, that they're not qualified, but you take the call because maybe you're a little desperate and you are hoping that maybe, just maybe, they become a client and you make a sale, only to find out that you just wasted 5 to 6 hours of sales call time where you could have been doing something else. Well, she found that happening a lot. The lawyers, there are certain lawyers that wanted her stuff, but were not qualified. And she would just come off these calls completely depressed and kind of defeated. And now she gets on the phone with less people, but they're the right people. And so she's seen her conversion rate go up. She's gotten her time back, all because the system has helped filter for her talking to the right people. And that's where I see a lot of the time savings come in, especially for people that, might be selling higher ticket goods, coaching, consulting, that sell over the phone.
Well, and what powerful examples you have just given. So if you're listening to this and the wheels in your head are not turning already, thinking about different ways that you can leverage and create these automated systems in your business to make not just your business better, but to make your life better. You should be thrilled and excited to find out more about what Greg is doing at Systemly. Actually, Greg, you have on your website a training called How to Simplify Your Client Service Business and Go from 15-hour days to 5-hour days. That sounds very intriguing. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we basically put together a framework that kind of covers those foundational systems. We call it the Scalable Business Blueprint. And we kind of take you through that model and show you, hey, here are places where if you follow the blueprint, you'll start with automating and putting systems here first. And if you do that, we kind of show you where you're spending your time there. You can actually realize that amount of time savings. So kind of as a high level, we kind of touched on a little bit, but we really look at the key areas of anyone's business. We look at, how you attract and communicate and connect with your marketplace. How do you then take those leads and turn them into prospects? How do you convert those prospects into clients? And then how do you deliver those clients an amazing experience and then get them to refer you, right? So it's kind of like the core drivers of your business: sales, marketing, fulfillment, upsell, and retention. There's opportunities to put automation and systems in place for all of them. And when you start combining those all together, you're saving your own time in all of those areas, thus giving you that time savings.
Wow, very powerful. So if you're interested in building a business that is going to run without you having to be there doing all the manual labor all the time, which I feel is so critical, to work yourself out of your business so that you can focus on what is really, really your core gift and your core talent. And it's not doing data entry and manual labor. It's whatever your gift is, whatever your superpower is, and then creating these systems to leverage that so that you can make a bigger impact and, of course, make more income. Greg, it's been a real pleasure to talk with you and you've got ideas that are very exciting. I've got light bulbs going off in my head thinking, how can I better automate the things that I'm doing here at Rebelpreneur? So this has really been full of value for me personally, and I'm sure for the listeners as well. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, so our motto is start simple and get ninja later. I think, with a lot of the cool, fancy technology, you could do some really, ninja level stuff. But more often than not, the simpler you keep these systems, the further they'll take you. And then you'll realize that you don't need to do any of the ninja stuff down the road anyway. So, if any of this sounded overwhelming, just know that there is a simple version of all of it. And it all should be simple, right? Keep it simple and it'll work. So yeah, just keep that in mind as you dive into these systems for your own business.
Perfect. Words of wisdom from Greg Hickman. He is the founder and CEO of Systematically. His superpower is simplifying the complex and helping utilize cutting-edge systems and automation to build a client journey that systematically delivers amazing client results so your business can grow quicker with less energy, costs, and headache. You can find out more and take that free training, How to Simplify Your Client Service Business and Go from 15-hour days to 5-hour days, on his website, system.ly. And we'll have that link up on the Rebelpreneur website as well. Greg, it's been a real pleasure to chat with you. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and expertise with us.
Thank you for having me, Rob.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogdon. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.